are live. Back at it, flowing. When we checked it yesterday, we were flowing. We're still flowing. We're flowing good too. We did shut it down yesterday evening just to let our concrete dry up. We got that dry now. And we may come back over that with some pond shield just because it may be getting a little too wet. But we'll see. I think we're probably going to have to shut it down and pond shield that, put a heat lamp on it. But we did solve our problem. We're still got a dry spot. So it was all in this wicking and splashing. That's what it was all, that's where all that water was going. It took 6 days to basically just fill the E horizon enough for us to see it in our hole. It didn't fill it up, it just got to the point where we could actually see it. So if we can see it over there in that point, then this whole bed here is full. What's going on, Jeremy? Good to see everybody coming in. Yeah, we're gonna have to shut it down again. Blue Moon, what's up? And the only reason is because we're going to pond shield our concrete that we put in yesterday. But problem solved. We disconnected. We let the pond sit again. We didn't lose any water in the pond. We didn't see any more water in the hole. So it was all coming from this spot, that spot, and just the splash zone up there. And that was enough over the course of 6 days to fill the E horizon and give us a really good idea of how much sand and silt we can pile on the edge here without wicking enough water or too much water, so to speak. So yeah. And then we've got this over here. We've got day 50 in flower. This one's way behind, but definitely starting to come into its own. This one took an extra week, almost 2 weeks to start to flower. These over here are a little bit better. So, we did crash the system. It's going on 3 weeks. It's been about 21 days now since we crashed it. And the algae has come back. Grass has come back. You can definitely see. We disconnected a lot of this. It was just wicking. What I've learned over the course of, a year and a half now. It's been a year and 6 months. And what I'm learning is the more I pile on sand and silt, the more it wicks, the faster we build. I mean, look, this is all, that's all worm castings. It used to be sand and silt. So the rock wall is right there on my finger. That's all sand and silt that was piled on the wall. It was all connected to the soil. You can see some grass we pulled out. Now that grass is just drying up a little bit. But if you leave it connected to the creek, it just stays moist all the time. And this allows us to build biology like you wouldn't believe and not have to basically water the bed at all. We just have to regulate this stuff here that's laying on top of basically the same stuff that's over here, the sand and silt that we disconnected. If we connect the line here, we're going to run, moisture is going to connect and wick all, and then start to wick into here, and it'll wick out to a certain point. So you'll see a wet spot, come out to about here. And then we'll leave this disconnected, and then come over here and do another one, and have another area here that at least when we plant plants in here, they'll be able to connect to these spots, and there'll be wet zones, so to speak, But underneath, we're also, the deeper the roots go, they can tap into that reservoir down there where we know there's water. Here's our tomato plant. Definitely seeing some good new growth. See that little lime green coming around the edges of those leaves. So we're going to start to see some growth here. It's only been here, 5 days since we transplanted it. And we got some grass growing. We stuck some grass in here in the creek on the edge. So all of this that we just showed you used to look like this. And we pile it on top and then connect it and it'll just wick. But over the course of time, the worms and everything turn that stuff into worm castings and just basically turn everything into poo, which is kind of what worm castings are. Worm shit. And if we don't aerate, if it gets to the point where they run through all the sand and silt, turning it all into worm castings, they'll leave. And when they leave, the air channels that they create leave. Everything collapses upon itself. We lose aeration. Grass roots help with this, but when we crash the system by turning the red light on, by killing off all our algae, the algae took away basically our filtration and basically killed off all our cyanobacteria, which was creating a lot of the oxygen that was supplying all of this. And when we kill off all of that stuff, it shuts off the oxygen, and next thing you know, we are dying because we can't breathe. And that's simply because worm castings come out in they're like little round nuggets, you know what I mean? Like little balls. But here's some. You can see them. See how the little nuggets? Those are some that are not, that's what we want to see. I don't want to see it collapsed upon itself like this over here. This is mud. Worm casting, but mud. And we can get no aeration through that. That is what we call like nothing wants to be, like it can't breathe. Unlike the aeration you see over here. All those little nuggets, those are worm balls, those are worm castings. Air can travel through all those passageways, all the rove beetles, and springtails, and isopods, and all that shit can run through here, having a good old time. Okay? All you gotta do is move something, usually, and there they are. They're aerators. Now that they can breathe under there, they'll do the job that we need them to do. But when we kill off our oxygen supply, everything runs to where it can get air. If there's no air down here, then they'll come back here and get it. So, but if they leave here, we shut down everything. Everything gets mucked up. Critters leave. Oxygen leaves. Everything gets fucked and crashes. All because we changed the lights. All because we changed the lights. The black soldier fly. But now you can see we've got the cool white and that blue that you see. Look at the difference. Now here's a great example at the angle I have of those. So these lights right here are the older Grandmasters. Those are the new. Look at the light. You can see it there. Those over there right now are on nothing but cool blue. Same as this. But look at the difference in the light spectrum. I can actually see the green, and I can see reds and oranges. Now I can only see that. It's funny. It's weird, because I only see it through the phone. I don't know if y'all can see it, but when I look at it with my eyes, I only see like blue and green. But when I look at it through the phone, I see all kinds of like the reds and oranges. I guess that's the filter on this lens. It's pretty cool though. This is the raspberry deadhead by Luna Whitcomb, by Luna All Day. Very funky. And I was pretty sure it's because they went through that stress. Everything in here, you can smell this shit down by the road. Like, I'm sure cars riding by is like, whoa, just caught a whiff. It's weird. I stressed the shit out of them. And they don't look pretty. They look a little droopy still, little curled leaves, too much water. That's just because from that crash, it's only been 21 days, so. But the buds have grown tremendously in those 21 days. The terps have tripled. And I'm just letting them dangle. Here's the top right here. That's the top. It's all about the terps. That's right. Fuck what they look like. It's all about the terps, baby. And they are terpy. We're gonna die. This definitely isn't our best run since we had that. I mean, we were great all the way up till flower. And then I flipped them damn lights and I turned that red on and all hell broke loose. And the only reason all hell broke loose is because I reduced that cool white too far and allowed the red, that deep red, to penetrate. And then I was talking to some friends and they were like, that water amplifies that red too. So you got to remember, these plants weren't over here, and that red light was hitting that water and it was amplifying it, and it was that red was just cooking the cyanobacteria and all the algae that was growing. They can't take that light. Now you would think the opposite, that they love light because they eat light, but we're hitting them with almost, the wavelengths were just too close together, and we were just killing off all this algae. So the algae is the filtration. This is a lot of that filtration comes from this. A lot of the oxygen that's created from this runs this whole thing. So it's all about surface. Anybody who's ever run a fish tank knows that a sub tank, where your filtration is, it's all about surface area, where that microbial action can set up shop and create a community and do the job that you want them to do. By eating that ammonia and eating all that fucking bullshit that's coming out from that pond over there. Turtle shit. I mean, having 2 turtles, like, I can't tell you how many people told me like this was going to be a disaster, because the turtles are huge producers of shit. They eat constantly. If there's food in there, they're eating it. They eat the roots. They eat it. That's why I can't have any plants in there. They will eat it up. Like I've tried lilies. They eat a lily like quick. I mean, like lily don't stand a chance. A lily pad don't stand a chance. So that's, these are disadvantages. We got advantages and disadvantages to having turtles. So in the other pond over there, we're just going to do fish. So it'll be like a totally different ecosystem over there. Turtles create, like I said, just insane. Look at this guy over here hanging out on the, this would probably be the best bud right there, just the one sitting there on the dog fennel. Probably have that dog fennel case, but look, nothing attacks it. Like when we first started this, if I laid any type of plants or anything on like dog fennel or any of these other plants, you would see bugs and stuff eating the leaves and stuff. You don't see, I stopped getting that about, 7-8 months in, when the soil started to get really good. And then pretty much everything just started to dial itself in. All the gnats went away, the flies went away. The natural beneficials had really taken over. and created a community now where if the fungus gnat larva got down there, it was immediately taken over by the springtails. So once we get an establishment of springtails and rogue beetles and all the good guys, the mites, they take care of the plant. Like, I haven't seen no spider mite. I don't spray, we don't do anything, nothing. And I haven't seen a spider mite. I haven't seen, maybe at the beginning we saw some thrips, but I think, to be honest with you, I don't think they were thrip damage. I think it was just over not newt burn, but just too much nutrient creating those spots we were seeing on the leaves. Oh, this is just ivy cover. This is just cover. This is cover we can move too. That's what I like about ivy. It does root in. It rooted in to the sand and silt up here. Like, it's in there. But all of this I can move. It's going on across the creek. We're going to let it go on across the creek. Right over across that rock there. We might have to move our gnome. But yeah, it's cool that we don't have, like, the pest management. Everybody's like, how do you keep the pests away? And I don't. Nature does it. It's all about, like, the biology in the soil when it comes to, once you dial that soil in and you get enough life in there, and not just worms or isopods. I'm talking like, we're talking like when you get into a microscope. Okay, we're seeing like the things that actually eat larvae, like nematodes. Like, you can't see a nematode with your eyes. You have to look at it under a microscope. The only way to know that you have nematodes is to look at it under a microscope. So that's why we're starting this Thursday. Is going to be the first episode of Soil Discoveries with me and Mo from iGrowSoil. So it'll be Thursday at 6 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. On this channel, we'll be going live, and the first episode is going to be about just showing you and introducing to the microscope. We're going to be looking at my soil. We can look at some older stuff, some newer stuff. I've sent in multiple samples, and we can definitely see the difference from before the crash and after the crash. So that kind of information is it's unmatched when you can actually identify what's good. Everything's looking good, everything's healthy. You take a soil sample, you're running good, you got all the microbes that you're looking for, your nutrients. You know your nutrients are good because the plants look good and healthy. So as long as we want to see if we're cycling those nutrients, continue the cycle of releasing those nutrients without having to amend anything. All comes from what's in the soil and like the sand and the silt, all these worm castings. Like this here is all you need. The life in that right there. There's a mite right there. But we put this under a microscope, and it's going to be everything we want to see. Cycling nutrients. These guys, that mite right there has a digestive tract. And it eats, everything it eats, it has to shit. Look at this, there's a springtail right there. He went up underneath there. Pretty sure that was one. They're tiny. But these are worm casts. You can see the sand and the silt still in there. But these guys, he went back in there. That's a springtail. They're in there eating stuff. Yep. Springtail. 2 of them. Look at them. Just in that little bit I pulled out there. Thrips, nothing stands, I'm telling you guys, nothing stands a chance in a diverse ecosystem down here. You get that soil dialed in, and these plants will have a sugar content that nothing wants to eat. That's what the whole point of all of this is, sugar content. And to create carbon, which is sugar, we need the light
We need the right spectrum of light, but we also need the light powering. We need the plant producing the sugar. If the plant's healthy, it will produce the sugars that the microbes need to eat anything and everything and to cycle nutrients. When there's a problem, they'll fix it. Like plants are so smart. They're smarter than us. It's crazy how intelligent these things are. Like, I don't know any other, I mean, no human can turn sunlight into power. You know what I mean? Not into sugar, into carbohydrates that then send down veins that we all see. Kind of the same vein we got, you know. This is all an air pump, is what it is. I like to refer to it as an engine. You know, this is all about power and producing carbon. And the plant does it. I'm doing it right now by talking. That's why I like to talk in here so much. Because I'm producing CO2. I'm feeding my plants as we speak. If I could invite all 151 people in this room right now, we'd have a freaking CO2 level over 200 or 2,000, 3,000. You know what I mean? We might get CO2 toxicity up in here. But that's what it's all about. And if you can create that, get that light right in these plants, then the plant will, and then create the environment. Okay, we want to create an environment indoors that everything can thrive in. That was the mindset behind this. So you can't just have a bag of perlite and some peat moss and expect thrips or expect, you know, springtails and road beetles and all these different types of insects, plus then going into your microbiology like your nematodes and your protozoa and your arthropods and all bacteria, fungi. The soil food web is based upon this, but it needs a home. First thing you're going to do when you're born is you're going to look for food, you're going to look for shelter. We got to provide shelter, we got to provide the home, we got to provide the food. The food comes with the fish and the turtles. The water comes with the creek and the pond. The lights provide the power for everything to thrive. The sand and silt wicks water into the soil over the creek wall where we need it to on both sides. So we have two creek walls. Other than that, it takes care of itself once it gets going. As long as we don't do nothing stupid like being a moron, and I don't mean by being dumb, I mean that by just putting more things in here when we don't need to. Like flipping the lights and putting crazy amounts of red spectrum just because we want to push the plants. You know what I mean? Like I was pushing the plants, not thinking about, hey, the algae down here is basically getting cooked. I'm basically laser beaming the freaking algae down here. You know, those light waves are so tight together, they almost form a damn laser beam. And I'm just down here frying algae, frying my good purple non-sulfur bacteria, frying all our microbes, our photosynthetic bacteria. Photosynthetic. This is Microbes Plus. All it is lactic acid bacteria. Right there. I'll make some. That's bad though. Shouldn't be yellow. But photosynthetic bacteria, and which put some molasses in that, and you're gonna have crazy shit. Fermented yeast. We can get yeast floating in the air around here. It's everywhere. This is purple non-sulfur bacteria from iGrow Soil. This is who we're going to be doing the show with on Thursday nights, Mo. This is his mother culture of purple non. This stuff eats light. So by me putting it up by the light right here, it's loving life. It loves it. But it lives in the muck. It loves the muck. Like it's like if I put it down here in the muck, look, that's where it lives, and it will get down in there. And although we can't see it until we put it under a microscope, so You put this under a microscope and you're going to see what we're talking about. Like, you put this under a microscope, you're going to see. This is why we're doing the show, because I like to learn by visual. I like to see it. I want to see it transform. This is how I'm going to learn. This is how, I think a lot of younger people can understand what's actually going on in a system like this. How nature actually works, how plants create structure from that is amazing. It's amazing. It should amaze you, because it amazes me that man's been on this planet for a while, and we've gone to the moon, getting ready to go to Mars and bullshit, but we can't figure out how to do that. You know what I mean? Like, how does that photosynthesize? How does that happen? Like, how does it slow? Think about this. It is capturing the fastest thing in the universe, which is light. The fastest thing in the universe that we know about, and it traps it and turns it into sugar, and then feeds microbes, and then it actually can control the microbes in the soil and tell them what they want. Like, hey, I need more calcium. All right, and we go out and mine some. It spits out a microbe out its root and mines, but it's got to have something to mine. It's got to be there. You know what I mean? Like, it's got to be in the vicinity of that microbe. We're talking molecular here. We're talking small, tiny. So the mindset really has to change. Really has to change. I know it changed me. Once I realized what was really going on here, I was like, wait a minute. I don't need to buy a bag of soil. I don't need to buy food. I don't need to, go to the grocery store and spend $200 on this and that and then still get a shitty plant. If you do it right, I guess. If you know what you're doing, you can really fuck it up. If you know what you're doing, you can really get good results. A lot of times it turns out it comes down to genetics. If you got good genetics, I don't care what you do. You can almost kill the damn thing and it wants to live. That's it. It wants to live. And what's in that seed from that genetic, if it's there, it's game on. Just put it in the right environment and let her go. Put her in the right environment. Give her enough food. Cannabis is hungry. She's a hungry girl. Likes to eat. So as long as we got enough food, which we know we got enough food for thousands of years, it's all locked away in all of this. Dr. Elaine Ingham used to say there's enough nutrient trapped in a single grain of sand to grow a plant. I mean, it's all locked up. Once it goes from that to this, now we're in the vicinity. Now we're in the ballpark. Now we're playing. You know what I mean? We turned that into this in months. And that is what's powering this planet. That algae connected to all this, creating that oxygen flow. We don't really have to have, if that's right, wicking all that oxygen up into that sand and silt and worm castings and poo and roots now. We've got the roots in there. Those roots are really creating those channels. They got they're finding fungus that eats plastic and shit. You know what I mean? So, like I said, when I heard James Carlin one time, he said that you don't have to worry about the earth. It ain't going nowhere. We are. So if you think the earth is going somewhere just because we dump some oil somewhere or we do something like, it's going to fix it. It's so resilient. It can repair itself. That's kind of what hurricanes and tornadoes, if it wants you gone, we're gone. Period. That's what man's been, we've probably had how many extinctions? I think like 5 or 6, 7 extinctions on the planet. We've come back every time, and this is why we keep coming back. This is why life keeps coming. I say we, but I mean life. Like, life keeps coming back because it's extremely resilient. And if you give it the right conditions, especially inside, like, I'm bringing this indoors. So outside is a totally different ball game. I know that. But when you bring it inside, as long as I can keep the temperature right, the airflow right, the lights, provide power, provide a stewardship now, build it, they will come, give them a home. So I'm basically managing, or stewardship and management of this bed now is my priority. Like, it is a daily job. It is not a, walk away, set and forget. This is a job. Not a job, a hobby. It's a hobby. Like, it is not something you can just walk away from. If you do, you see what happens. If you get it right, I got a 3-foot Monstera leaf here. This is what happens when you get it right. It's no joke. It will just grow. And then you'll get them all over the fucking place. And then you'll get new ones. Look at that one. How beautiful that is. And each one of these gets more serrated. They get more fractured all the way down. It's really cool to watch how each new one, it gets more fractured. Pretty cool. This one down here is one that Farmer's Earth Angel sent us. We're going to let this one run right on up there. We're going to move. We're going to get straps. I'm thinking about moving these wires. I might get a little extension and just kind of mount them up underneath this wall here instead of having them hang from the ceiling. I'm just going to run them up underneath. I'm going to extend that down. That's a timer right there. But I can get an extension cord and then get something. We can put that timer in or just tuck it somewhere. That way I can tuck these wires up underneath here and just run them right to here. What's up, Coop? Scoop? Look how crystal clear that bitch is. Hard to believe it was been 21 days. This thing looked like you couldn't see the bottom. She crashed hard. I lost one fish, a shiner. We learned a valuable lesson, didn't we? Yes, the turtles can come right on up here. They sit. Actually, when I came in here right before I started this live, I heard one of them just whoosh, dive right off the rock here. They can go through Marco's Pass here and come into Digger's area, and then eventually we're going to let this loose. It's just holding back soil right now. What I'm going to do is get more soil and pile up more soil. Give me a log or something that lays up in here. And they'll be able to come on up into here, all the way up in here, and they'll be able to come across here if they want. And if they want to get in the pond, they can. We've got lips around the edges so they can't get out. We hope. Once they get big, though, you know how they are. They like to climb. If you know anything about turtles, turtles are sneaky little bastards. That's why they're my spirit animal. Slow, steady. Yep, we got that figure. That's amazing. I mean, it amazes me still that wicked that much water. I don't know. Did pick up a few more rocks. I don't know where this was. Is this up here? Maybe we can use that right there. Let's see. Oh, I know what it was. I was noticing the bubbles here. Look at the bubbles. Notice how they're not like they're getting caught right up in there. You see that? You see how they're getting caught right in there and they're not just free flowing? That's a dead giveaway sign right there that we have raised, like rocks have fallen down and they've raised the water table up right here, and that's creating most of the flow here, hitting this rock right through here and spinning up in the zone. That's how much, it only takes a little bit to change everything. So I would just come in here and do that. Just that. Pretty cool, huh? So there's little things like this that really can change your whole system. Just that little bit. And you would never have known that water's flowing like that if those bubbles weren't doing that. So now we got a good flow. Now we're spinning. So those are the little things that you pick up along the way if you're paying attention. We are going to have to shut her down, you know. We're going to pond shield. This is concrete that is not shielded right here. And it is getting wet, so I've seen all I need to see right now. I'm going to go ahead and shut her down. I'm going to grab that heat lamp over there. I've got some little bit of pond shield that we're going to, I'm thinking about just doing, I usually just do the hardener because it takes like 15 minutes to harden up. So we'll be back flowing within a few hours. Just gonna let that dry out right through there. Right there. Here and here we need the pond shield because we raised up the concrete there. There was just a couple of little pinholes there, and where that water was, since we took this log out from the center here, we were getting all that major splash. That splash was coming up, hitting the wall here, and running down. Once it got to a point where it was just a constant flow. You know what I mean? So we can't have that. That's another reason why. So we removed the log, that reduced the splash. Water flows freer, faster. All those little things like that. You can see we got really good aeration, that's for sure. It'll take about another 10 days probably to clear up. So I gotta come over here. I think I had some left over. Yep. Pond shield. Don't fuck up this stuff. And she'll be paying for it, I'll tell you that. Get it right the first time. Do I have... Let's see what the shit shelf holds. The shit shelf has some shit. I even got a toilet brush. Yeah, I told you we had a shit shelf. Uh-huh. Everybody needs a good shit shelf. Never know what you'll find on the shit shelf. No, we're not going to set that there. We're not going to be dumb. We got our heater from our pond. Set it on top of that. Actually, okay. Mhm. I usually have this fan on, but it's kind of loud. We only need a little bit of pond shield, so all I'm going to do is pop open the top and stick this down in there and mix up a little bit and be done with it. But we're going to dry it up a little bit first. I ain't gonna burn the pad up, am I? I'm gonna go ahead and clean this. Actually, it ain't too bad. Got some of that silk in it. That's about it. That's all it's got to catch right now. Just keep it down there wet. So let that dry up just a hair. What else do I need? Need something to open up the can with. Need something to open up the can. Uh-huh. We also got to clean this pump over here. That's another thing we got to do. We're on setting 12 or 2, no, yeah, 12 over here. And it's pretty high. We normally run it like 9 or 10. I had it on 12, and it just comes from buildup. Buildup from soot on that pump down there. Shit gets trapped in there. I use these tweezers. I don't know if I can do it one-handed. In fact, I know I can't do it one-handed. I have to lean over this wall here, reach down, just unscrew the cap. I take this and reach up in there and pull out whatever's trapped up in that little pump. Screw the thing back on, set it back down there, and let her go. And we just gotta adjust down, usually that it turns up the flow. How big this Monstera is. Gonna have to take some cuts off this thing. And all the roots. Anybody see Digger? Is there an aloe plant? Y'all didn't think I had an aloe, did you? Huh? Yeah, you know everybody's gotta have an aloe. Is that the Digger down there? There, Digger. I don't know where he is. I'm gonna take my glasses off. Oh, there he is. I see him. I see you. In a spot I normally rarely see you too. He's up underneath this. What are you doing? Come say hi to everybody. Were you sleeping? You were sleeping. And you got spider webs all over your face. You look good though, buddy. Huh? I'm gonna put you back. Don't worry. I just want to show you off. You're gonna go back to bed. He's up underneath that piece of that, bark I laid in there. Yeah, Digger. He showed up here. The kids, nieces and nephews showed up. And they were like, we got a surprise for you. We got a surprise. I was like, I don't need no more surprises, please. I told their mother, I don't need no more surprises.
but we got one anyway.
And then we ended up building that for Digger because he needed a home because he's not a pond really. He's a pond turtle, but then again, he's not a pond turtle. Like you find them around ponds, but they don't usually like hang out in the pond. They're not like a slider. They like the muck though. They do like the muck. They like swampy areas, which we have a lot of around here. And he was out in the middle of the road, so Digger ended up here. We built this whole side. So originally it was just that over. We built this addition just for Digger. And then we ended up doing all of this for us, plant food in. Got food going out. Well, we got seeds going. I don't know if it's going to pop or not. We'll wait and see. You know how that is. But we'll probably, let's see how wet this is. I gotta wait a little bit. But don't have to wait that long because Pond Shield is, oh yeah, it's dry. Pond Shield will dry in pretty much any situation, as long as it's not flowing water. It will dry. And I had a screwdriver in my hand, and y'all let me set it down somewhere. Just say, hey, you set down the screwdriver. See? ADHD. We hung our power source there. All we gotta do is step over one cord instead of four. It's nice. All right, this is part A. Part B. Y'all are gonna make me do this, but I am gonna set you down just for a second because I've gotten this shit on my hands before. And it is not fun. It is not fun. I'm over there looking for them. Here they are right here. Not fun at all. So safety first, children. Wear your helmet. Okay. All we need is a dose. Maybe a little double dose. Maybe just a little dip in the water. Do a little dip in here, then dip there. What do you think? Or just this? Y'all giving me any feedback or what? Y'all telling me just to do it? Do it. Do it. Do it, homie. I want extra hardener. Do it. Do it. I'm just going to push this off a little bit so we don't dump it all over the place. Right, yeah, that looks good. I like that. I like that. Do it. Remember, this doesn't have to. It just needs to be a barrier for that concrete. So the concrete is very porous and it will erode away over time. This keeps it from eroding. And it's just that easy, peeps. Voila! That'll be dry in like 15 minutes. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. The brush is just trash. The brush is trash. We don't even try and say it is. And I didn't even get any on me, ladies and gentlemen. Got it. You got this. Oh. Look at all our goodies up here. Got some cannabis biochar. This is from, I forget. What is this? Artichoke. Oh yeah, this is FPE. These are artichoke tips. Just lab and artichoke. That's been up there for a while. This is, what was that? I forget. These are artichokes too, I think. Fig leaf. Those are fig. That's fig. Good stuff. This was fig too, I think. Yeah, that's fig too. It's all fig. Cactus flower. FPE. Can't even open that. Got some OK Calyx, comfrey, and purslane FPE, some compost extract, some lactic acid. Speaking of lactic acid bacteria, I was wondering how this wasn't going bad. I smell it. Yeah, it's bad. This stuff doesn't last that long. That was a fucking nostril shot right there, baby. Woo! Nostril shot. Pay no attention to the junk. Good God, that shit stinks. Whew. Fuck. Save the bottle. Rinse that out later. I'm glad I left the gloves on for that. Yeah, what's up, Jeremy? Yeah, nice. Yeah, it's gonna be fun. I really enjoy staring at soil and looking at, like, seeing things that we don't normally, you would never think is down there. And then when we combine terrestrial with aquatic, and then add the nitrates and all the different things coming from the fish and that aquatic side and connect the two, you see some really cool stuff. And we can actually keep that balance, that cycle going, as long as that water is flowing. As long as it flows, everything seems to be happy. Well, I'll take that back. As long as it's flowing oxygenization. I have a hard time saying that. And the biology's right, and it's flowing. We're good. But we can't forget about the biology and the algae, and everybody's always trying to say, get rid of the algae, get rid of the algae. Not in this system. Not like this. No, the algae is a good thing. The algae is what's providing filtration, it's providing food, a lot of things that this thing is providing. That the algae is providing. It's providing oxygen, food, um, lots of things. Can't really go any more deeper because I'm not that educated in that shit. I'm not educated. I'm just kind of seeing what's taking place. You can see that blue there. See the blue? That's pond shield. That gives me an idea that sand has fallen down. If I can see the blue, it tells me that sand is falling down below the anything below that water. That's the water line, basically. Anything above that is where the sand and silt starts. So we just need to add a little pea gravel. See if we could just, take some of this. Let me just set it right there. And that will cover that up. But yeah. Let's see what's under door number 4. Not much today. A couple of worms. The isopods have moved on from this spot. I've noticed that because it's funny how this is where I used to come get diggers, isopods, and worms. And I used to come here all the time. Boom, that's where I would go because that's where they always were. Now you can see that everything has been turned into worm cave. I mean, there's still a worm there. But the isopods have left. I guess they got smart enough and realized that it wasn't a safe place. I know where they went. You want to see where they went? Watch this. Probably went right up in here. This grass. They love being up in this grass. And they go deep too. And if I pull some of this out, look. They love being deep down in there. That's wild. Those are dairy cows. Look at that gold one right there. That's aeration right there. So that's all we need. Those guys right there, girls, whatever, they are moving soil. Yeah, common sense is that's true wisdom, I believe. If you can get both, a little knowledge and some common sense, you'll die happy. That's kind of what it's all about, right? Find a place to die happy, 'cause that's where we're headed. Not much around that. Death and taxes is what they say. Look at that bowl. That's just a little nugget of gold right there. Grass roots in it, holding it together. But there's some life in there. Let's see what we can crack open here. This is what we're going to be doing on our new show on Thursday nights, 6 o'clock. Thursday at 6. Me and Mo are going to deep dive into shit like this right here. From here.
going 400 times in, look, you're gonna see some shit. You're gonna see what really runs the cycle. Like nothing we see actually is running the show. Everything we don't see is running the show. Shit like this intrigues me, because this is where it all happens. That right there. Zoom in on it. You know, just won't zoom. But you get the point. We're gonna discover some shit. You know what I mean? So, it should be fun. Oh, we're gonna look up in, I was gonna look underneath here. I know you love being up in here. Let's see. Again, scrambling. These are my little aerators, my little workers. You can see the layer on top of the rock. See the worm casting? All those tiny holes. Just sitting on top of that rock. Now if we connect this, see how moist it stays? It just stays wet. Sometimes it stays too wet. We gotta disconnect. That algae was key. And we lost this string algae here. Look at it. String algae right there. We lost that. We lost our filtration. We lost. Look at all the poo stuck in it. This is what we need to build back up in our system. Trap that and throw it in our soil. All it is food. Just think of it as food. Like that right there will be gone tomorrow. Guaranteed. The critters will come up and destroy it. That's all you gotta do. Look at them. It's what you can't see. Now imagine what you can't. I mean, we're just looking at it through a lens. Look at the springtails. Those are isopod, baby isopods, but they're springtails down there. And also road beetles, mites, worms. Everything a system needs to stay aerated, and the poop loop needs to continue. It's all about a poop loop, but we need diversity in poop, not just worm castings. We need isopods, worm castings, springtails, road beetles, mites, earwigs, the whole 9 yards. Everything we can get in here, the diversity in shit is what's key. You know, when people say living soil, I kind of giggle a little bit when, you know, you don't have sand, you don't have silt, you don't have clay. If you only have worm, you're missing the boat. Worm is great. You can run, worms run through a lot of different stuff. But you're missing the boat on diversity when it comes to shit. I mean, you think that's all worm casting is shit. It's worm shit. Those guys shit too. Everything shits all the way down to the bacteria and fungi. That's where the shit loop stops. The shit loop stops at the fungi and bacteria, which you cannot see. Nematodes eat and shit. Ciliates eat and shit. All this stuff that's under the ground eats and shits.
That's where the microbes are getting their food source from. The plants then power those microbes to go get that food source and bring it back to them. We don't have to do it. The reason you have to do it in an indoor grow or in a pot with just a 7-gallon pot or anything like that, 5-gallon pots, because there's just simply there's no cycle going on. First of all, to produce the food, you have to provide the food for it. And that's why you got to add microbes and you got to do all this stuff for the plant. You don't have to do it. The plant knows how to do it on its own. We have to set up a system that allows it to do it. And that's where this comes in. It's a system that allows the plant to do what nature intended it to do without me having to do it for it. That's what I try to set up here. And it takes, the water source is everything, the power and water. So it's all about air, power, water. I mean, it's an engine. It's a fucking engine. We have to maintain that engine. We got to change the oil every once in a while. We got to add fuel. We got to do things. Can't just let it sit. It's got to flow. You know, you let it sit, it will just die off on you and rot away. It has to be moving and flowing. It has to be greased, oiled. It has to be taken care of. All these things apply to everything in life. I mean, if you do it right, you find out how to do it right, get the knowledge, and then trial and error. That's where I'm at. I'm trial and error right now. And I really don't give two shits about these cannabis plants right now. I care more about keeping the system alive for the next run. Because I want the next run to be even better than this run. So, and that's going to be the theme of this whole park here is better than before. You know, I want something better than what came before. If we're not improving, then we're not growing, then, you know, we're not learning. If my opinions don't change by next year, like, I probably didn't learn anything. You know? It's just the way it is in science and nature. You know, as soon as we learn something, like, oh, that's not the way it works. Well, shit, I've been spreading false information, and so is everybody else. You learn. And it's not that you're spreading false information, you're spreading the information that you seem to be everybody else's consensus, but it turned out it was wrong. And you got to be able to flip on that. And believe me, it's happened a lot. It's kind of crazy how wrong we can be, especially about these things here, how miraculous they are. Like this, like probably one of the smartest things on the planet right there. Not just the cannabis, but all the plants. Everything. They learned how to survive through thick and thin. You can turn the fastest thing in the universe into sugar. You're doing something. It's pretty cool, in my opinion. I appreciate it, everybody who's been talking. I know I haven't been paying attention to chat, but hopefully y'all can take care of yourself. Yeah, Discord. Yeah, I know. I'm on Discord. I just, you know, I got so much going on. Maybe one day I'll get on Discord, but right now this YouTube and Instagram is enough. I'm going to be starting the show. Hell, I'm on Let's Be Buds Wednesdays. I'm going to be on my own show with I Grow Soil on Thursdays. I still work. I'm not retired. So it's just a lot. So for right now, we're just gonna stick to this. I've spent enough time on social media over the past 3 years, more than I have in my entire life. So, not that I'm saying that's not a bad thing, because a lot of good things come from it, but I gotta limit my intake, you know, as far as like different platforms. I just can't, my brain is already on overload. If I got something else to remember. Hell, I forgot to post a video this morning on YouTube till like 10:30. I took it and then I walked around here and I don't know what I was thinking. I just didn't. I thought I posted it, but I didn't. Well, it is what it is, right? Figured it out once I got to Grandma's. That's a pretty bud. Pretty stacking too. It's stacking nice. You know, if it takes 70 days to finish, I know we kicked them back probably a week or two. So it might take 70, 80 days to finish now since we had to crash and slowed them up quite a bit. The light's not as intense as it was, or I should be, just because I want to take care of the creek and the algae in it. And it seems to be doing just fine because the algae's growing like crazy. So that's good. We're seeing it come all up around the edges here, all around our rocks. So as long as it's growing on our rocks like that, it's perfect. That's what I want to see. I want to see it growing on those rocks. It tells me that that's even out of the water too. So it tells me that we got good cyanobacteria going on. The algae's growing. The oxygen is being created. The wick, the water that's being wicked will have that dissolved oxygen in it, which plant roots tap into and can breathe freely underwater. It's kind of why you have to aerate your water systems. You know, if you don't aerate a aeroponics system, what happens if you don't aerate? Yeah, you die. You can run roots in water as long as it's aerated. And in nature, the air comes from aeration, from the waterfalls, but also from the bacteria. The proper bacteria in the water runs the show. Usually while that stuff that grows under like tree, it's not in direct sunlight. They grow under like in forests where those wild streams flow. You know what I mean? And wild blue yonder. Oh no, that's gonna be up in the air in the wild blue yonder. We're down in the wormhole. Down in the wormhole. Hole check. Still got the dry spot. Look how deep that well is. See the dry spot? Still there. But we got water down there. So you see the sand, you see the clay on top of the sand, and the soil on top of the clay. That's our separator. It's kind of like that piece of plastic in an earth box, if you know what an earth box is. So you're watering from the bottom. Except here, I'm watering from the top, and then what comes from the top doesn't get absorbed by anything, goes down into our E horizon where it sits there and waits for the roots or the soil and everything to wick it up. That clay layer will wick up that water too and hold it right in that clay layer. Soil will sit on top of the clay, wick that water on up from below. What layer does the creek start? The creek is pretty deep, but you'd have to go back and look at my videos before I put the soil in. Everything is connected. So the creek and the ponds basically sit on top of just below the clay layer. And everything goes underneath of that. So there's rock down there, but there's no concrete. So there are big holes underneath the rocks all through here that connect everything. Water can go underneath the pond and flow freely underneath the pond. So the whole bottom is basically a pond in itself, but filled with this pea, sand, silt, and pea. And then on top of this layer is the clay. So this way, the whole bottom of the bed can be utilized with water and sand, silt, clay. Once we get roots in here, we get some good trees in here, some big plants going, get some roots going, then we'll tap into that lower level and wick that water on up. And what little bit we have connected here will keep that bottom full. And that's it. I mean, we just mist every once in a while when we need to mist or foliar, and we don't have to do anything. As long as the water's flowing, it'll wick. It'll constantly wick. It'll be putting water down our E horizon, just like over here. You know, our hole over here is right here. So we have water down there. You can see my reflection. Hey. So, yeah, that's where we're at. And that's where we're at. So we'll let the pond shield seal up. What else we got going on? I don't think we got anything else left to do. Maybe go inside, grab a bite to eat, take a nap. Sponsored by APSUsoil.com. So if you don't mind going and checking them out, that'd be cool. No discount code needed. Ships anywhere in the United States. Good, excellent soil, same soil we're using in here, of course. So with that being said, I appreciate everybody. And we'll see you tomorrow. So, peace.